Okay, thank you, Dr. Krug. I have a couple of issues I'd like to address with the board this evening. The first issue is on the status of planning for summer activities, mostly athletic activities, but there are some others as well. We did have a meeting 2 weeks ago with the athletic director, building administrators, and physical plant supervisor. The AD briefed us in on the resources we'll need to maintain our programs over the summer, and we come up with some tentative agreements and assignments. But of course, these are always subject to change depending on the needs of the students and the schools, and of course, the building project. Varsity football will begin their heat acclimatization on August 4th. That's for the varsity. Well, the JV will start that process on the 11th. Tentatively, that is set place to take here at the field across Joseph Street, but I think we need to ask and talk the other day about possibly putting that at the stadium. It's going to all depend on the parking situation here, but either location could handle it, so we do have a place for it. There were concerns about parking, so we could end up moving that. The football camp, which starts, I think, the following the 18th. A lot of that, some of the camp activities are planned for later in the day because there are a lot of team members and even coaches that work during the day. But the tentative plan is to hold that again here at the field across Joseph Street. Band camp will start on August 11th and run until the 15th. And we discussed earlier, it's been determined that that will be best done at the existing high school field, primarily because of the storage of instruments and no, again, not to interfere with football while it's down here, while we're in an already crowded situation. Rifle and basketball teams will not really have any changes to their routines at all. And we also looked at other activities, and we determined ESY, which normally is held at the elementary school, will have to move up to the high school for this summer only. There's just too much going on to try to move those kids in and out for ESY, so that'll be done there to keep it safe and secure. There is some concern over the status of the summer feeding program, but we're hopeful that since that doesn't start until the same time as the football and band activities, that we'll be able to stage that here at the new building. But we'll have to monitor that as we get closer to the end. That could potentially have to move as well, and we think that's possible. The last remaining question, which we didn't really answer, I think we had some opinions on it, are when to move the weight room equipment. We certainly have to wait until we get the new ground floor laid, or the new floor laid down for that. And under the contract, we get a base molding that goes on after that, so we have to wait till those two things are done. But we are in regular communication with physical plant and AD and the building managers, so that'll be something we'll have to decide moving down the road a little bit. That was one topic. So we are on top of planning for summer activities, and even though we don't have everything completely nailed down, I think we're pretty close to having what we need. This is a slightly more involved topic that I wanted to bring up. We aren't really ready to act on it tonight, but having looked at the PD regs and a lot of the information about the new project, it's going to be necessary for us to put through a reconfiguration plan for the district once the current school year is ended. The Department of Ed requires that school districts who are changing configurations and under 3 circumstances, they require reconfiguration. I'm sorry, I didn't say that terribly well. The school department requires reconfiguration changes under 3 circumstances: when you're opening or closing a school, when you're changing the grade levels of a school, and whenever you're changing the name of a school, which we're not obviously doing that, but we are certainly opening or closing a school, and we are changing the grade structure of an existing school. So we would meet the requirements to have to do a reconfiguration. Now, at the present time, Northern Cambria has 3 identified school buildings with 3 separate, what are called AUN numbers. That AUN means administrative unit number, and it's essentially the state's shorthand for identifying a particular building. And we have 3 of them at the current time: one for the elementary, one for the middle school, one for the high school. Now, that made sense whenever we had 3 separate buildings, we had 2 separate buildings, and we had 2 kind of distinct programs in one building. But now that's when they were physically separated, and they had individual chief administrators as well. And since those things aren't the case anymore, it really is probably incumbent upon us to adjust the configuration officially, and that will be a reconfiguration change through the state. I mean, I think there's some concern that's been expressed about making adjustment of this kind, that it will necessitate abandoning some of the middle school programs or models that we use. And I'm specifically obviously referring to the middle school concept. But I think it's important to remember that this reconfiguration really is primarily used in the department's educational names and address database called EDNA. And it's kind of a tool just for making sure that all the students and grade levels are accounted for. Point out historically, it's actually happened. This is before this process was under as control as tight as it is now. It's actually happened that schools would change their configurations rapidly, sometimes even yearly, because by doing that, they could actually change a high school to a middle school, or middle school to a high school, and it would have to avoid some of the AYP, adequate yearly progress, goals that districts were measured on in years past. So they could avoid becoming schools that were listed as being in failing simply by changing their configuration around. We're obviously not trying to do that, but we will need to change our configuration. So since we're closing a school and we're changing the grade levels in another school, we'll have to submit this configuration change. I am gonna plan to prepare the configuration change documents to reflect that we are changing to a pre-K 5 elementary and a grade 6 through 12 junior senior high. This is really reflective of the fact that we will now have only 2 chief school administrators, which is again reflective of the situation that is actually in place. And importantly, again, nothing in that change is really gonna require that we abandon any of our middle school initiatives, and indeed I think most of those we actually want to extend into other grade levels over the course of the coming years. There's also, I think, contrary to some of the concerns that I've heard expressed, there's not a radical change in hours for students or staff. In the middle school and the high school already follow a pretty close common schedule, and that will continue. The elementary schedule will not change dramatically. About the only grade that is going to undergo some fluctuation is 5th grade. But I believe apart from that, most of the time schedules will remain pretty close to what they are now. And indeed, we hopefully can achieve some savings with regard to transportation by doing that. The one concern that I do have over reconfiguring into this essentially two-tier model or 2-track model, which is effectively, again, reflects what we have or what we will have in place, is that the 2 existing chief school administrators or 2 existing principals will see their span of authority shift to 7 grades. Each will be covering 7 grade levels each. So coming the fall, we will have our principals spread pretty thinly. And I've mentioned this before, and this isn't, I'm not asking for this decision right now, but it is something I hope we can still continue to discuss during our budget process. I think it's really important that we look at some of the strategies for providing some additional support for our principals in the areas, especially of student behavior, building control, community interactions, teacher supervision, possibly by adding an assistant principal or an additional dean, especially in that critical middle school level. And I'm not putting forth a specific proposal right now, but it is something I want to plant as a kind of a seed for the board to think about before we finalize the budget. So in kind of conclusion, in order to complete this reconfiguration, which I believe we really have no choice but to do, a couple things we'll have to do. It'll require a signed letter from me, and there's a format for that that summarizes the proposed changes and includes the current proposed school configurations, and I've done that before and I can do that. That will require board action. The board will have to vote to approve a reconfiguration like that. So we'd have to submit minutes that would indicate that the board is approving of that reconfiguration change. And we also have to have evidence of a required public hearing, which we've already done that on a school closing, so we can do that. So The last thing is kind of the timeline for this. Requests for school reconfiguration have to be submitted no earlier, than June 14th and no later than July 31st before the coming school year. So it would start, the window would open for us in a couple of weeks in June, and we would have to have that reconfiguration voted on and submitted to PDE by July 31st. So I wanted to again get that idea of the reconfiguration out there, so if there's any questions or concerns, we can discuss it. Last thing I'd like to mention, excuse me, in my report is I know there's been a lot of discussion at the last couple meetings ago about the dust collector system. I had hoped that we would have information to bring to the board tonight so that you'd be in a position to make a decision, but we really aren't there. On Thursday of this week, we do have a gentleman coming from a company called Effective Controls. They are the folks who have dealt with our specific collectors in the past. They've worked with them. They are familiar with them. And what I've indicated to the gentleman who's coming is that I think what the board is looking for is an objective assessment of what do we have now. Is what we have now usable either from the high school or what's already installed down here at the elementary school? Can it be repurposed to that? If not, what do we need and what additional steps will we have to take? What additional components will we have to install to make that those collector systems work? So that's going to really involve looking to see whether the existing collector that's down there is capable of operation, and if it is, and if it can work, then how can we do that? If it's not, is the high school system capable of being used? And if not, why not? And finally, if those two units aren't up to the task, what do we need in the way of another unit, either a refurbished unit or a new unit that we can put down in there that will do the job for us? What kind of vents will we need? What other kind of, there's changes to the National Fire Protection Code almost monthly, and those are heavily affected by that because dust collectors can, generate the fine particles that you need to have an explosive environment, but, with the right controls in place, you can avoid that. And that, when we get that report from them, we'll bring that back to the board with a recommendation for our recommendation for the best steps to go forward. So those are the things our crew guy wanted to report on, and thank you. If anyone has any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Good. Just as a note of information for you, after the last regular meeting last month, the board had an executive session to speak on personnel matters, just to let you know we have one of those, okay? It would probably take effect on an agenda item for the next regular meeting, okay? So, principals, let's go to elementary, middle school.
I do have a question.
Well, I apologize, I didn't see.
No worries. So I do have great concerns over the reconfiguration idea as a parent, because I'm not an educator, so I'm not gonna try to speak from those. I don't agree that the 6th through 12 is, I don't agree that that's appropriate. I feel like we definitely need a middle school bridging years for those kids, because that's a lot of changes happening between the time you're in elementary school until you get to the high school. I almost think that some 9th graders are too young to be in high school at times, but we've managed with that all this time. And especially if we're gonna hire another person to manage this, lack of another principal, what would the true savings to the district be? Like, why not just have the principal and keep the middle school?
A couple responses to that, and I appreciate those are probably the sentiments I'm hearing the most. For one thing, with regard to some additional support for the principals, I think my concern is at the elementary level, we have a single administrator covering 7 grades. She's taking care from pre-K up through 5. At the high school right now, we have an Act 93 administrator, and we have a dean of students. So for those grade levels, there is support. There is the chief administrator, and there's some support. I think we need to try to extend that support in some fashion so that we are also supporting the lower elementary level grades too. That's why I'm not suggesting another principal, because I really think 3 chief building administrators in the same location is going to be problematic, because they're each gonna have their own kind of individual approaches to how they wanna have the school managed and run, which is fine whenever you're spread out and you each have your own campus, or even in one building if it's big enough. But now we're gonna be in a single building, I just feel it's gonna be difficult. However, I would agree that it would be nice if you had somebody who had a middle school background as what in the old days we would have called either lead teacher or dean of students or something like that. Cause I don't disagree with you that the middle school programs and the middle school initiatives are bad. Flexible grouping, individual student adaptations, I'm trying to think some of the other key middle school concepts. I think those are really valuable, but I also think they're really valuable going out both in other directions. So I think they work just as well in elementary, and I think they're very effective at the high school. So what I'm kind of hoping is with, if we stay with the 2 building principals and maybe look at a kind of, how do I wanna say, kind of a fluidly based, say dean or assistant principal that can help cover elementary and help cover those middle school grades, but also retain sort of that focus on middle school. We can get the best of both worlds. We can keep those key middle school concepts and we can extend them into elementary and into the high school grade levels. Again, I think the biggest concern is gonna be one of literally, I say this, I don't wanna sound disparaging, because I think you have 2 fantastic principals. I just wanna say that too, really, from working with both these ladies, but I think we could easily get into kind of too many, well, it's gonna sound racially insensitive too, I gotta be really, really careful if I'm remembering them. I don't have too many bosses, I feel like 1 single building, two main principals, I think is probably pretty optimum. 3, and then adding, even a dean after that. I think when we start to dilute our management progress too much, it'll become confusing for kids. So I think it can be done effectively with 2, if we had that extra level of support in there, so that the whole way from pre-K up to 12, we would have an additional layer of support. I can't give you a definitive 100% in the legal educational dictionary why I'm right and you're wrong. Your viewpoint is as valid as mine. My opinion is based upon what I perceive as this is what how the board wants to move forward with regard to the administrative infrastructure. I've heard consistently, we don't want to go into that, for a lot of the reasons we just heard in the last hour. We don't want to go with that 3rd administrator. That's a significant expense. I think we can manage it with the 2 we have if we add that layer. So that's my, and I'm sorry to be long-winded, but that's kind of my answer.
That's great. So an assistant principal, but how much cost savings is there between an assistant principal? And another thing, I really, really feel like there should be schools within a school here. That was the idea. I don't think that there should be rollover between middle and high school. I don't ever think that should happen. I even am sensitive to the fact that I feel like 5th grade should be part of elementary over the last 20 years that I've been a parent at this school. So I don't like the idea of not having encapsulated areas for these kids. And if we're gonna spend some money on an assistant principal, these are our kids we're talking about. And I don't care about spending a little bit more to have a 3rd principal if that's the best way to go. Like if we're gonna spend 75% of what it would cost to have a 3rd principal, then why not go the whole 100%, keep it as it is? And I don't know how our community is gonna take to this. There's not been any, community outreach as far as what our parents are gonna think of this. And I know that people will have strong opinions. We've had strong opinions for years about 5th grade being part of middle school. So I know that this will be something that, our constituents are going to want to weigh in on, or at least let us know before we vote. And I respect your opinion. I'm just, that from my perspective, I feel like there needs to be more public conversation about it. And if we're gonna spend 75% of what it would cost to have another principal, that's not that much of a savings for what we'd be giving up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the exact numbers, I should have researched that, and I did, again, I wasn't looking to make a decision on it tonight. I was giving you my recommendation based upon what I see as the likely reconfiguration model we have to follow. I think what I wanted to really establish tonight was, we definitely need to do a reconfiguration. We meet the criteria that the state said to have to do a building reconfiguration.
Regardless if we split into two instead of three, just because we're coming down
One, 2, 3, or
here.
5 ways, we have to do a
Right,
reconfiguration.
and that's
'cause-
fine, that's
Because we're
fine,
changing the grade levels.
yeah.
And then my recommendation to do it with the way I'm recommending is because what we have right now are 2 building administrators, and my sense of what I heard in budget discussions and in previous discussions with the board, that's what's gonna stay. So trying to work within that seemed like that made the most sense.
Right, and if there were gonna be 2, that would be fine, but we're actually gonna have 2 3/4
Maybe.
budgetarily.
Well-
No one said that we will.
Oh, so we're not gonna get an assistant
I'm
principal?
not voting for an assistant. I'll tell you that right now, I'm not.
Oh, so do you think that 6 through 12 is appropriate?
Plenty.
But you were the one who was worried about us moving into this building because the big
That's why
kids
we
were gonna
moved
hurt
into
the
this
little kids.
building.
No,
So we could use less
okay,
administrators.
you've changed your mind, that's okay.
No, I didn't change my
did.
mind.
okay.
Nothing's gonna change in the middle school. Really, nothing's gonna change. They're
Right.
gonna go to the same
I don't really
classes.
know what we're talking about because this is the first I've heard of it,
Well,
so,
I'm not being controversial, I'm just saying, nobody said we were hiring an assistant, nobody said we were hiring a dean of students either. He's just suggesting that that might be a way to go. Like, it
Because the
sounds
two-
like you're
because
already
2 isn't-
convinced we're hiring an
Speak.
assistant, and I'm not voting for no assistant.
That's fine. Just don't talk over each other.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
Sorry.
Okay,
May I ask a question? Just
yeah,
because
you're
I
gonna be
really-
next to speak, so go
Okay,
ahead.
okay, sure. No, you guys finish.
I just have one quick question before, does this come before the board then? I mean, this is,
It has to.
yeah, right,
I would-
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I would
I
have
just
to
wanna
come
make
back
sure,
to
we'll
you.
have full discussion.
It
when we're-
has to.
Yeah, I'd have to come back to you in June or July
Okay.
with the form letters, and then you would have to say.
It has to be
yes,
done by
Okay.
the end of July.
Yeah, July 31st.
July, we
is
have
the-
to send
Well,
something to
and the
PE.
parents have to know that because they're gonna have to restructure, a lot of people are gonna have to restructure their mornings.
But the building change is enough for a reconfiguration already,
Correct.
notification.
We have to
That's
do
one re-
reconfiguration.
okay.
Yeah.
If we don't hire, if we hire
We'll wait till it's
10,
on, yeah.
we have to do reconfiguration, because the
Okay.
grade levels are
That's all I
changing.
wanted to clarify.
Continuous drop in enrollment has to be
The only,
factored
the
as
only
well.
reason I wanna ask a question is because I'm sure some of this will be printed in the paper. And like Danielle said, parents are going to start seeing this and reading about it. Just, I don't know if something changed, Mr. Johnson, but in the plan that we had, we were doing pre-K to 6 was elementary, and 7 to 12 was
Well,
junior,
and you
senior
know what?
high school. So I don't know, maybe something changed since we spoke.
No,
But I just didn't want that to get printed, so families would see it if that's not correct.
And some of our teachers share 5th and 6th grade currently.
Yeah, like our
We
5th
can-
and
we
6th grade
can-
teachers are
Yeah.
elementary certified, and they teach the same. So again, if that's what you've decided, that's fine, but I
Yeah.
just didn't want that to get printed if it was not accurate, because we had been planning pre-K to 6 elementary. That's what we had shared with the teachers and then 7 to 12 secondary.
we bounced a couple different ideas around in our discussions. When I brought this, for this presentation, I looked at, in the most equitable way I could, pre-K 5, 6, 12, divides both exactly in half. You're each covering exactly the same number of grades. However, if we decide between now and the June meeting, it makes more sense to do it, case, I'm fine with that. It really, there's not it's a tentative recommendation. This whole thing was just brought up as a point of information at this
Okay.
point, that has to happen in June. This is what I'm looking at, is what I think the best thing is to do, really in the broadest sense, a two-track kind of a management model.
Sure.
That still allows us to do it. We can change that if we think, in our opinion, that's better. I know we've discussed both.
Can I add one more point too, like, yes, I do have a dean at the high school, but my dean is also a full-time athletic director. He's not dedicated to just being a high school.
Yeah, nor am I trying to suggest that you have it better off. That wasn't what I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to suggest I think it's a reasonable thing that there needs to be additional support for both of you, and that was my only point.
Can I ask one question on all this, to lead up to our discussions about it? Does the number of students have any bearing on this decision at all?
No, it would, if we were losing a lot of students, we might have to do reconfiguration, but in this case, it's simply triggered by the fact that the building has never supported grades 7 through 12. Now we have to do it because of that fact.
Just one comment I have, in pre-K also, it's not truly ours, it's always run outsourced, so that's one grade that we're not wholly responsible for.
I mean, I supervise it, it is our program, but it is grant funded and
Right.
isn't technically Northern Cambridge School District.
But does it happen in your building?
Yes, it
Then
does,
that's-
absolutely,
Okay,
yeah.
then that's
Okay.
what I
Yes.
meant.
And the only issue that we had with numbers, if we did 5 through 12 in that building, was we couldn't fit them all in the morning in the cafeteria for breakfast. And like Mr. Johnson said, we were trying to balance the flow in and out of the building. And the reason we had said 5 and 6 was because almost all of those core teachers there teach both 5 and 6. Yeah. And if anybody has any questions, by all means, I know we'll be talking about it later, but what it would look like and how it would operate, we'd be happy to talk to you about it. Because the 7th and 8th, the 5th and 6th grade would actually be possibly part of elementary. So they'd be coming in a little bit later, 45 minutes later. 7th and 8th grade would be considered high school. But those kids will not be walking the halls with the high school students. They'll still be in the same classrooms, the same teachers. They have their own lunch period. We have 3 lunch periods, 9 to 12 is the first one, 5 to 8 is the second one, and pre-K to 4 is the third one. So again, they don't even eat lunch. The 7th and 8th graders won't even eat lunch with the high school. So truly for them, it's not going to look or feel much different at all compared to what they do now. Other than, again, I guess administratively it's split. And now for 5th and 6th grade, they'll be coming in a little bit later. But what we have planned there is when they would come in, it would be about halfway through second period. So what we planned was to have that first half of the period be, or the period, that last part of second period, be 5th and 6th grade's win period. And then we pick up with the middle and high school schedule starting third period. So throughout the day, we're not talking, well, it's the high school's third period, but it's 5th and 6th grades. So we're actually going to run periods 3 through 10 in grades 5 and 6. So we truly have come up with a way to streamline and make it run in a way that we don't think the kids are honestly going to really realize. And the high school kids will be over in the new wing. We have it set up that there's only one area that the kids would come in contact with each other. And in that area, over by the gym and the fine arts wing, they would always be with a teacher. The high school and even the 7th and 8th grade students will never be allowed in the hallway in front of the elementary office. They'll come across by the library, down those steps, and then Site Logic put a door in that doorway, or in that stairwell, that they don't even come out that stairway. They turn and go back the stairway and go out that way.
So what you're saying, this reconfiguration idea should work?
Yeah, I mean, we have it all figured out. We really do, the schedules, the teachers, yes.
That should make the paper then, you know?
I guess the big question would be, does this model work if we don't hire the assistant principal or this extra person we're talking about?
Look, I think you have very good people, as I've said before, your administrators here are really good, and I think if it has to, it will. I would like to share what I think the optimum way to do it is to provide some additional level of implementation support. But if it doesn't happen, it will work. I mean, it has to. But thankfully, I think you have people that are gonna be able to do it.
let's go with your report then.
Sure. Just a few things. I always like to start with the students of the month. April students of the month for the elementary, middle school, kindergarten, Amber Stein. First grade, Ethan Mirage. Second grade, Waylon Patterson. Third grade, Kennedy Gray. Fourth grade, Sophia Bassett. Fifth grade, Sierra Bowman. Sixth grade, Riley Ludwig. Seventh grade, Lyndon Walker. And eighth grade, Paisley Bradford. Congratulations to those students. A few notes from the music department. The middle school chorus concert was held on April 8th and the middle school band concert was held on April 15th. Ms. Fox and Ms. Pattison would like to say a huge congratulations to all of the students who were involved in both of the concerts. They put in a lot of hard work for these two events. The fourth grade band students participated in their spring concert and they were joined with the senior high band. This was last Thursday. Ms. Pattison once again wants to say congratulations to her fourth graders. They performed extremely well and they worked very hard on their instruments. We are very proud of those kids, all of them. And lastly, from the music department, the last elementary performance was held before Easter break. The students acted out and sang songs about bunnies. It was another great performance. PSSAs in grades 3 through 8 have just concluded. It was a tough 2 weeks. We are doing a few makeups, but they're all done for the year, the PSSA that is. Field trips start tomorrow. Kindergarten kicks off the year. And they get to go see James and the Giant Peach tomorrow at the Crescent Lake Playhouse. So it's a good way to start our year-end field trips. And last but not least, I would just like to send out a heartfelt thank you to all of our teachers and our paraprofessionals for a job well done. It's Teacher Appreciation Week, and we couldn't do it obviously without them. They are amazing. It's been a great year. So, thank you.
High school.
Good evening, everyone. I also wanted to do a shout out. This week we celebrate Teacher Appreciation Week and Nurses Week. And I wanted to take a minute to say thank you to our teachers and our staff and our school nurses. They do a wonderful job. Our high school students of the month are senior Brad Valeria, junior Ben Pounds, sophomore Elle Carlheim, and freshman Tyler Walters. Each spring, St. Francis University recognizes an exceptional elementary or secondary teacher or administrator with the Dr. John Powers Outstanding Educator Award. This year, the university honored 6 remarkable educators during their President's Awards convocation on April 29th. I had the privilege of nominating one of our own, Colleen Cunningsburg, our high school chemistry teacher, and I'm thrilled to share that she was selected of one of this year's recipients. Mrs. Chelsea Daisley received a mini grant from the Pennsylvania Association of School Retirees, the Cambria County chapter, and with this grant, Mrs. Daisley is able to receive a class set of books containing Shakespeare's Hamlet in both Old and Modern English. These books will allow students to feel more confident and independent while reading Shakespeare's plays. And she's a member of the members of the PASR, which is the Retirees Committee. They were impressed by the scope and the reach of her program. Matthew Klein received a $500 donation through DonorsChoose.com, and the donation was used to purchase a new 3D printer and 3D printing filament. Our Envirothon team, led by Mrs. Kerr, who just returned from a maternity leave, is advancing to states later this month. She does a phenomenal job with those students. Our marine biology class also visited Pittsburgh Zoo at the end of April. Something of note, while I was working on our comprehensive plan for a class project, I came across a report from the best high schools in Cambria County, according to U.S. News and World Report, and I'm proud to announce that Northern Cambria High School is now ranked number 4, following Richland, Forest Hills, and Central Cambria, and will continue to grow every year, and that report is based on college readiness, state assessment proficiency, state assessment performance, underserved student performance, college curriculum breadth, and graduation rate, and we're quite proud of that. Our prom, these are some calendar events just to note. Our prom will be held on Saturday, May 10th from 6 to 10 at Joyner Wedding and Event Barn in Alberta, and the Grand March will be at the high school auditorium beginning at 4 p.m. Graduation will be held on May 30th at Mount Aloysius College at 7 p.m. The baccalaureate ceremony will be held on Sunday, May 18th at 5 p.m. in the high school auditorium. Our athletic awards were moved, so this might be a change of date for some people because we also have a baseball playoff game on the night we were planning to do it. So our athletic awards will now be held on Tuesday, May 20th at 6 p.m. in the high school auditorium. And our senior scholarship awards will be held on Wednesday, May 21st at 6 p.m. in the high school auditorium. Underclassmen awards will be held on Thursday, May 29th at 1 p.m. in the auditorium. Our jazz band concert is tomorrow, Wednesday, May 7th at 7 p.m. in the high school auditorium. Mr. Montenero's farewell concert featuring NCHS alumni, current students, and music colleagues will be held on Sunday, May 18th at 1 p.m. in the auditorium, and they are expecting 72 musicians for that weekend. Our foreign travel club trip to London, Paris, and Barcelona of 2027 is having a launch meeting on Wednesday the 7th, which is tomorrow also. The foreign travel club is making a trip to the Mediterranean in 2025, and they are having their departure meeting on Wednesday, May 21st. The National Honor Society hosted their spring blood drive on Tuesday, April 29th, and they were able to collect 18 units of blood. Our 2025 TSA state conference results, and they did quite well. In our high school, we have state champions in structural design and engineering, Delilah Nave and Zach Cavallo. Transportation modeling, also state champion, Alyssa Yonner. Prepared presentation, second place, Alyssa Yonner. System control technology, second place, Zach Cavallo, Delilah Nave, and Reed Miller. Senior solar sprint, third place, Ben Messina, Drake Weller, Nick Arton, and Ava Messina. Drone challenge, sixth place, Ben Pound, Sophie Williams, and Tyler Friedman. The middle school results. In flight, we have a state champion, Jacob Buderbaugh. Mechanical engineering, also state champions, Andrew Kaninsky, Braden Kamerer, and Mackenzie Hanyok. Technical design state champions, Maya Friedman and Joel McCombie. Sixth place, we have Rachel Wargo and Laura Blickendorfer. In our junior solar sprint, we had second place winners, Maya Friedman and Joel McCombie. Fourth place, Riley Ludwig, Zoe McCombie, Austin McCombie, and Henry Wolf. Off the grid, we had fourth place of Rachel Wargo and Laura Blickendorfer. Community service video, fifth place, Rachel Wargo and Laura Blickendorfer. Inventions and innovation, fifth place, Rachel Wargo and Laura Blickendorfer and Maya Freeman. And structural engineering received a seventh place with Joel McCombie and Maya Freeman. So they did quite well at the state competition. Also, Mrs. Baker will be taking a group of 10 upperclassmen students to St. Francis on May 8th for their third annual Senator for a Day, sponsored by Senator Wayne Longerholt. The students will simulate being a senator, and working in committees to argue for and against legislation. It's a great program for our students. Also, 5 art students from Mrs. Scalise's classes will have their work on display at the Greater Johnstown Young Artist Exhibit in the Goldhaber Fenn Gallery during the month of May. These students are Lydia Kirsch, who's in 12th grade, Hannah Krug, who's in 12th grade, Tegan Pala in 12th grade, Ava Peranish in 10th, and Emma Neff in 10th. Majora will award 4 cash prizes of $25 each for achievement awards, and 3 high achievement awards of $35 each will be awarded in each division. And the show is sponsored by the Community Arts Center of Cambria County. If you've never had a chance to see our artists work, we have some very talented art students in the high school. It's unbelievable what they're able to do. And lastly, Mrs. Norman, Mrs. Baker, Mr. Jacobs, and Mr. Faribault took 38 seniors to Ohio for their senior trip on May 2nd and 3rd last weekend. And they visited the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and Indoor Water Park and Cedar Point. Though they got rained out on Saturday, they had a lot of fun. Thank you, everyone.
Business manager.
I have nothing.
We had a budget meeting before this meeting, so, okay. Cafeteria.
Just 2 things to highlight. This Friday, we will be having a Smash Burger event at our high school for their field day. And then on May 27th, we'll be having our cookout at the elementary middle school.
Maintenance.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Just a few things we've been working on last couple weeks, and kind of busy getting all the seasonal equipment, the vehicles, the tractors, mowers, weeds, sort of things ready for this season. So I think all is well, everything's back and ready to go. So hopefully this season goes with minimal impact. Also last week got the chilled water train system back up and ready for our AC controls and AC temperatures. So that all went well. Over in the cafeteria here at the elementary school, got a couple pieces of equipment that waiting on parts for. One's the dishwasher over waiting on another heating element and a sensor. We also have one of the warming tables over there that's sort of, got an internal leak. It's leaking into our, heating elements. So we're waiting to hear back from the manufacturer as what type, if any, repair can be done or if it has to be replaced. So I'm hoping to hear any day back from them. As I mentioned earlier about the rubber flooring, that has been ordered 2 weeks ago. There's a 4-week lead time on that. I talked to the gentleman today. He's hoping to have an answer by this Friday as to an install date. So once we get that, we can work on making sure we get that weight room cleaned out and ready to go for the install. And then once the rubber flooring's down, Side Logic then will come back and do the rubber base. So I'll keep you all posted on that. Walking the perimeter here the last week or two, we've got several trees down around the perimeter of this facility, especially over on the cafeteria maintenance side of the building. That tree line over there is very bad. A lot of dead trees, things lean over there, they hang. Got a couple down already over the moat, over the water drainage ditch over there. I've got some people working some pricing. I got one quote back already. I'd like to get some of those trees thinned out if we can swing that. Especially over here by the walking trail and the bridge that goes across. I hate for any trees to snap off and fall over on a windy day when kids happen to be walking over there. But walking with the tree service people, that tree line is really bad. It's a lot of dead stuff. So need to take that into account. So I'll keep you posted on that. I'd like to discuss at some point what our move date was really going to be for the high school folks down here. We had talked earlier in the week in one of our meetings about potentially August 4th through the 15th. I think that's the 2-week window we have for the physical move. But we really haven't nailed down who's going to do the physical move. So I would like to kind of give my suggestions to you all probably tomorrow. And I'll give you all the 3 bids, and if you guys have any questions, or if you want to sit down and talk about it, and we can go from there. But we need to soon reach out to who our mover's gonna be so we can get that scheduled, okay? Also got a list of some summer cleaner help with the teachers and teachers' aides like we normally get in the past. Not exactly knowing what we're going to do up at the high school, kinda need to know, I guess, from you all what we want to deem the length of cleaning for up there and ongoing cleaning and services for that building, as well as what we're going to be doing down here for cleaning services. I obviously don't need everybody that's on the list, so depending on what we decide as a team for that, I'll give my recommendations for that as well. Up at the track, I've met with 3 different vendors. We've all walked, they all kind of had the same comments and same recommendations. I got 1 quote back, expecting the other 2 by Friday. I will forward them on as well, and you all can determine what you would like to do. Well, I think that's all I have right now. Thank you.
Jeff, are those different quotes for moving than we had previously seen, or?
No, they're the same people. But I think we should sit down and talk to what I want to refer to, and what we should talk about before. There's a couple things on there, like the hazmat materials, I thought was being done by somebody else. There's 2 or 3 things on there I think we can retract from their quote, because somebody else is doing it.
Okay,
So
so you don't think, do you think that all 3 quotes have the same services included?
No, I think the first quote, the cheapest quote,
Is bare bones?
bare bones, and I didn't have a good gut feeling with that walkthrough.
Okay, so I think it's important that we understand that maybe they aren't all 3 equal when we determine which one we're gonna go with, because if they're the same 3 companies.
I mean, I think they're all 3 capable, but I don't think
But
we'll
they're,
get to say.
the services aren't listed in that
Correct.
cheapest one, so we won't know.
Right, and I don't want to be caught at
Right.
the 12th hour with
Okay, I think
someone's
that's
not
important.
adequate to do that.
Thanks.
That's it.
Okay, buildings and grounds, Site Logic.
First of all, I have to apologize, we had some glitch on getting Chris the presentation on the computer screen, but everybody should have received the monthly report. If you haven't, let me know and we'll get you on the list. Okay. All right, this is report number 17. First item is executive summary. Okay, executive summary is Area H addition. The drywall finishing is going on the first floor. The second floor, the walls are painted, ceilings are installed. Mechanical, plumbing, electric is all completed. There's a little bit of fire protection work has to be completed. The windows are going in outside, everybody's a little confused on windows. We have windows and we have curtain walls. We have everything on site that we need, we're not waiting on any windows or curtain walls. The windows open, the curtain walls are just stationary glass storefront windows. The metal panels are going outside they're going well. The auditorium, we're doing select demolition, we dug the foundations today, they're gonna get poured Thursday. There's a lot of work in the auditorium, we have to do the perimeter walls because the stage gets wider and it comes front. We gotta get the block laid and get that, second floor framing done so we can get the bathrooms installed. The exterior of the building, we got the water meter vault installed last week. The fire line is complete, which is the secondary water line into the building for the sprinkler system. That work is all complete. Okay, contractor update. The general contractor is doing the site work outside. Removal of the curb and sidewalks as you walked in, you see that's all demoed, ready to go. The new water meter pit has been installed. The brick veneer is completed on the outside. Right now on the first floor in area H, as I said, we are finishing drywall. The drywall is all but completed, being hung. As I said, metal panels, windows. Phase 5, ceramic tile in the toilet rooms are all being completed on the first and second floor. The locker bases have been formed and are poured on the second floor. The lockers are coming hopefully by the end of the week. We're gonna pour the bases for the lockers on the first floor. The shoring for the auditorium is in. I don't know if you guys are aware, we had to shore the roof up. We have beams that have to get in. We have the roof being held up right now until we get the beams in. We don't have a delivery date for those beams. Should be next week. Work anticipated for May. We're gonna complete the storm work. We have some of the manholes already in the parking lot. We're gonna start the new curbs and sidewalks at the gym here. We complete the metal panels. The drywall finishing should be completed. We're gonna start painting on the first floor and ceiling grid on the first floor. Okay, moving on, pay requisition summary. There's only 3 contractors that Roland sent checks for this month. Some contractors didn't apply for a payment. Right now, according to our calculations, now they're off a percentage or two per contractor. We're between 72 and 78% completed on the project, and we're real close with Roland's pay requisitions within a few percentage points. That's kind of what.
You know, the difference, I just thought of, the difference could be because we're paying not the retainage.
Yes.
So that's completed, they're just holding the retainage.
Right.
So your numbers are probably closer than what, I was within 3% of him, but that's where the difference is.
Okay, the change management would be the next item. Pending the change orders approval tonight, we're gonna submit for a few change orders tonight. Right now, the contingency remaining is $278,354.26. Now, depending on how these change orders go, that'll be reduced, but I feel we're in very good shape with contingency money. Okay, the next page on the report will be change management log. Project schedule, this is some pretty good news. Just did the schedule update on the 1st of May, and we actually gained 2 days. Doesn't seem like a lot in your world, but it does in mine. Okay. Project schedule update was 5/1. Right now, the schedule reflects the final inspections for the project will be July 11th, and the building substantial completion will be between the 11th and the 14th of July. Now, as Jeff had said, we had a meeting this week, a team meeting. We scheduled the move between 8/4 and 8/18 would be the move dates. We will be ready for the move. And just 2 other dates here schedule-wise. There'll be a lot of confusion here in the parking lot on Colt Drive and the entrance going around the back of the building. We're starting, like I said, curbs and sidewalks 6/23, and we are anticipating paving the week of 7/14. Obviously, weather plays a big deal in those dates,
Dave's hoping for no rain.
yeah. All right, project contingencies, there's only one item that is out there yet, we're waiting on pricing, and then we can finalize the generator relocation and the fuel tanks for the boilers. So we're waiting on some pricing back, mainly from the electrician, and then that can be finalized. And I had 6 pictures here, but I apologize again, we couldn't get them on the screen. Anybody have any questions?
Dave, do you have a ballpark estimate on the underground tank removal and the above-ground tank?
That is not in our scope, we have not priced or done anything.
I have.
You do.
Since it's not on the agenda, we'll do that for the regular meeting, okay? Any questions? Thank you, Dave. Okay, public surplus sale, I'm gonna let you take care of that, Alan.
Yeah, we're asking the board to give us permission to conduct a public sale. We really don't have a date yet because we still don't know how fast we're gonna get everything out of that building, but we know at some point we're going to have everything out, and we would like to be able to offer a public sale on any of our surplus materials or extra materials. That would be things like maybe perhaps even old desks, old lab equipment, things that are obviously safe, and we're looking even at perhaps some old technology that might become available that we don't need down here. Hoping we could do that in June. It could be a little bit later, depending on how much longer we need to have it, but again, we would rather than just have it go into mothballs or throw it away in dumpsters, we'd like to try to see if we could recover some money. There's value in some of these things like PA systems and bell systems and things like that. Clocks have some residual value, so that's what we're asking the board to consider giving us permission to go ahead with that.
Put it on for the agenda, okay, we'll put that on here.
Okay.
Okay, a bunch of change orders coming up, folks. Normally I try to group these together, but I'm gonna do them individually. And I'm probably gonna do roll calls on each of them because I think some of them are gonna need some clarification,
And
okay?
just so you know, it says there attachment numbers, all the backup information we have, it was just 74 pages of it, and we did print it out to attach these, but we have all
Right.
backup.
Okay,
We all got it.
yeah, okay. Item C, I'm not gonna read them, you guys can do it. I'll make the motion.
I'll second
So
it.
it was Carol. Okay, any questions or comments on item C? This is for a new sink installation in the cafeteria.
Was this in the original plan? It's just reinstallation of a new sink?
No, the sink that was put into the cafeteria was from the old shop.
It was.
And it looks like it's been in an old shop for a long time, and so we have children cleaning their hands in something that, and it's just an eyesore in that cafeteria. So the thought was that that sink would go back to the shop and be used for shop use, and then we would put a decent looking sink in the cafeteria for the kids to wash their hands in. So it won't be thrown away, it will be used, it just won't be in the cafeteria. It's nasty.
Okay, we'll do quick roll call on these guys.
Mr. Bender is absent. Mrs. Hoover?
Yes.
Dr. Krug?
Yes.
Mrs. Krug?
Yes.
Mrs. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Rocco?
Yes.
Mr. Basil?
Yes.
Mr. Westbrook?
Yes.
Ms. Zenshaw is absent. Motion carries.
Okay, item D, change order GCO 27027. This is for a stair opening modification. I'll make the motion for that, just to get it done. Sarah, this is normal. Okay, questions or comments, or an explanation on this one if you can? Dave, what's this about?
Dave, I don't know a lot about this one, can you
That's
elaborate on?
In the design, there was extra support. When we got the architectural drawings, we gave the shop drawings to the steel supplier, the guy who's gonna supply the stairs for the stair tower, and it was his idea that we should probably add another beam in there. Just one of those things that the shop drawings showed that the architectural drawings did not show.
Anybody else? Okay, roll call?
Mrs. Hoover,
Yes.
Dr. Krug,
No.
Mrs. Krug,
Yes.
Mrs. Lee,
Yes.
Mr. Rocco,
No,
Mr. Basil,
Yes.
Mr. Westrick,
Yes.
Mr. Bender absent, motion carries.
Okay, item E, change order PCO 24. I'll make the motion for that. So,
Okay, she got it.
did you get it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Carol Lee. Okay, this one is for, some kind of revisions with extra decking material added. Dave, anything on that?
I knew what you said, I'm sorry.
The
What's-
extra decking
Yeah,
material?
Yeah, what's it for?
On the parapet walls, you see the high walls are above the roof line. There's some walls that are behind the wall, you don't see knee brace walls. And again, the architectural drawing showed one thing, when the steel supplier looked at it, he decided that we should probably put 2 layers of decking up there just to span that weight. And that's how we came up with this. The problem, and some of this cost was, the first set of decking was down, we had to take it up to reinstall the second layer over top of it. This would be a design issue, and Hank can answer more.
What did we pay him for, honestly?
It was missed.
No kidding. Okay, anybody have any questions?
Yeah.
Just, yeah, when it says extra decking, so I guess I'm just confused, it's recommended or required, or when you said that, who recommended that we put a second layer or something?
The shop drawings for the steel supplier, the structural designer, not the architectural designer,
The structural
structural
design.
engineer,
Okay, it's saying you probably need it structurally,
yes.
okay.
It was needed.
Is this a load bearing place?
Yes, it's all load bearing, because the snow load will be behind that parapet wall, and that's kind of
This
why
is
they're,
ridiculous.
the tapered roof there.
Okay.
Roll call?
May I ask who made the motion?
I did.
Okay, thank you.
And I'll
Dr.
second it.
Yes, I got you, but I
Okay.
didn't get who did it initially, thank you. Dr. Krug?
I'm gonna do no at this time, because I'd like to hear Hank's explanation of this.
Did we skip Mrs. Hoover?
No, she
Okay.
went first.
If
I-
can
I
I just say one more
rotate.
thing?
Yes.
no.
If I could just say one more thing,
Well,
we
maybe
did have a higher cost, we sent it back to the contractor, tried to beat them up a little bit. It did come back, it did change the cost a little bit, a few $100. So we tried,
Yeah, I mean, you did your job, it's fine.
we tried.
This is fine, okay. I said no, Karen.
Mrs. Krug?
I'm gonna say no on this one. If it's structural and it's absolutely needed, bring it back to us.
Do we wanna maybe table this?
It can come back.
Dave, is it in? It's already done.
Yeah, that's what.
It's done.
We
It's
had to do
already
it.
done?
Yeah.
Why is it
Oh, yeah.
How can we do that?
It's done.
Okay, all right. We do things.
Mrs.
differently
Lee?
here.
Yes.
Mr. Rocco?
No,
Mr. Basil?
Yes.
Mr. Westrick?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover?
Yes.
It's only 4 votes.
Motion, it fails?
You failed? Okay, that's fine.
I think Hank needs to be here to let us know what's going on.
I'd
here.
like his opinion as well.
So we wanna ask him to come to the next meeting, or
Absolutely.
be
Yes.
available next meeting,
Yes.
and then it can be,
And then
ask
you,
for
you can put this
reconsideration.
back on the next agenda.
make a
Put-
motion.
Yes,
Consider it.
but I'd like to have Hank be here for this kind of stuff.
Yeah, Hank's father was
Okay,
undergoing surgery.
item F, change order PCO 46. I'll make the motion for that.
Second.
Second, Mr. Knight. You can read it. This is for owner requested work to expand the sidewalk. I'm guessing it's right here, right?
No, it's down at the main entrance, I can speak to that. In looking at that, and Dr. Chip and I looked at that, and down at the main entrance, when it's all done, the area that's gonna be available for the students to walk on between the building, like the floral beds and the post of the building and the street is like 4 feet, literally 4 feet. Our concern was, in the wintertime, you got a snow buildup, the actual area where students are gonna be able to walk could be down to a couple of 2 or 3 feet. Worried about, that's also where bus loading takes place. We just wanted to see what it would cost. It's more than I think either one of us thought it was gonna be, that we were hoping it wouldn't be that expensive, but that was the, this work has not been done. It was, you know, so this could be, you could reject this, but it was with the idea of student safety in mind, to make sure we had a wider space for.
4 inches wide?
It's
No,
4
no,
feet.
wider than that.
4 feet.
4 feet, yeah.
Alright.
It's only 4 feet
Wow,
right now.
that's giant. So how wide's the sidewalk now?
That's what I was gonna.
Huh?
It's 4 feet now.
It's 4
So
feet
it's gonna
now.
be an 8-foot sidewalk, you can drive a car on.
Okay, but listen, you got 4 feet,
Yeah.
but you have a line painted 18 inches back where the door is open and the kids are not allowed to
I
walk.
mean, the way it's been for 30 years.
But you're gonna have high school, you're gonna have elementary through 12th graders there in that same area.
Not at the same time though, right?
I don't know that, I'm just, that
No,
was the,
high
that was
school
the
and
thought.
elementary will be at the
I
same
mean,
time.
I always questioned it, but it was always like that. No, that's pretty wide.
How long of a sidewalk is it? I mean, for how many feet?
It'll go from the elementary to middle school door all the way up to the new addition.
It's long.
Like, is the length that it is now, really?
It goes longer.
Goes longer, okay.
You're getting new sidewalk there, we're just making it 4 foot wider.
And how thick?
Same thickness, 4 inches.
Dave, is it fair to assume like if you go incrementally down, like say down to 3 foot from 4, does it go down like 25, does it go down incrementally the same, or is it, once you pour a certain amount, it's like cheaper per, is it one of those
Per
things?
yard. Most of this
the more-
cost
more the
is
cheaper it gets.
is
Per yard.
concrete.
It's per yard.
It's per yard,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it's per yard.
Do you know how many yards it is to add?
I don't, the backup is on the information I have in front of me, but it's there.
All right, roll call.
Mrs. Crew?
No,
Mrs. Lee?
no,
Mr. Rocco?
No,
Mr. Basil?
No,
Mr. Westrick?
No.
Mrs. Hoover? No. Dr. Crew?
It's unanimous. No.
Motion fails.
Okay.
Can we revisit so that it maybe not have 4 feet, but 3 feet, or just,
or even 2 feet.
2 feet?
2 feet would give you more.
just bigger?
Anything better than what's
Because I
there.
do understand what they're saying. I think that it does, the sidewalk is gonna be too small.
I do too, but I don't think it
Maybe
needs.
not 4 feet wide.
I don't think it needs to be that
But
way.
could we get some prices on?
Sure.
Let's consider
and
maybe
3.
2 feet and that accompany.
That's not gonna mess up your building plans or anything, that's outside work,
Right.
okay. All right, item G,
Excuse me. Hey, Dave,
Yes,
was there a drawing done for this?
yes, Hank has a sketch.
Okay, so Hank needs to revisit this.
okay, item G, change order PCO 48. Okay, I'll make the motion for this,
I'll second it.
second by Carol. Okay, this is for the general contractor to modify walls in the FCS classroom. Anything on that?
Yes, in the family consumer science room, there were high walls where the refrigerators were, and it was kind of a blind spot for the teacher to see the classrooms. So we moved the refrigerators, but the walls are still there. The problem with it, and the reason why this cost is higher than it should be, is that's where all the electric and water line feeds come down through those spaces, because it comes from the ceiling to the floor. So we have to reroute some of the stuff under the countertops if we eliminate these walls.
Okay, it is, right now, is it built to contract?
Yes.
Okay, roll call.
Mrs. Lee?
can I ask one question?
Oh,
too?
okay.
It just, the option C, provide,
We're not on that one, that's next. We're on G.
oh,
Gee.
sorry, I skipped.
Yeah.
I was like, what, okay, good to go.
This might sound stupid, but is there a way to put a mirror somewhere so that she could see?
We had that
tried that,
option,
yeah.
and we looked at the mirror Hank did, this is Hank's design, and it probably wasn't the best idea.
Okay, just thought out of left field.
Now, there are other options here, this is what we brought forward.
She couldn't see
We can
with the
eliminate one
mirrors.
of those, would make it a
It
little
still
better,
couldn't,
or we can eliminate both, would make it perfect.
And this is to modify one wall or two walls then?
Yes,
Which is it?
2 walls.
Two walls.
And Dave, you felt this was the best option to bring forward?
This is the best option and best for the teacher as far as teaching, seeing the classroom and no obstructed views.
You're gonna live with it forever.
Wait, what?
You're gonna live with it forever, whatever you do there. If you don't take the walls down, it's gonna be like that. I mean, there's no changes.
So what are you suggesting? Cause you have seen this day in day out.
I have seen it,
I
yeah.
don't want a blind spot.
I
We don't
talked to
wanna-
Amanda,
Yeah,
she really
If I
liked
could say
that.
anything, I saw it several
Please,
times too, if we
yeah.
could at least do one wall to piece her, if you got a small room to begin with and a lot of students, it'd be nice to piece her a little bit so she could see. There is definitely a blind spot in there.
This is for both walls, right?
Yes.
Dave? Okay. Okay, roll call.
Mrs. Lee,
yes.
Mr. Rocco,
Yes.
Mr. Vazel,
Yes.
Mr. Westrick,
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover,
Yes.
Dr. Crew,
Yes.
Mrs. Crook.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, change order, PCO 52, you can read it in front of you, I'm not gonna do that, we have to pick out an option though. So I'll make the motion,
Second.
second by Mike. Carol, do you have anything to add on this, since you're building and grounds, what you'd like to, what's the best option?
I like option C. However, we don't have the manpower to repair that floor if it needs to be repaired.
Can we talk to a vendor that can do it on, like, that we do option C for the 7,700, but we get a bid from a contractor for the work outside of the,
After the project's done?
yeah, I mean, cause basically we'd have $30-something thousand to do what you're saying would be the supplemental work that we can't do ourselves. I don't know if it would come in cheaper or not, I'm just saying,
Have someone else do it, because there is a markup,
I
because
don't-
this was through the,
I don't even know if it would come in cheaper, just maybe something to consider.
it may not have to be refinished either, because it is under the bleachers, and it might be fine.
It's a big difference in cost, otherwise,
Yeah.
you know.
Dave, is the roof repaired over that gym now, so it doesn't leak anymore?
Yes, yeah.
'Cause that was a mess.
That has never leaked there. I'm under the impression that it had leaked when it got flooded, and the wood never went back. And the bleachers, the problem here is the bleachers are mounted to the floor. The floor moves, the bleachers don't, that's why it keeps separating. This proposal is to put the correct mounting brackets in the concrete, the substrate below the wood, so that when the floor does move, it'll go back in place.
They were installed wrong whenever it was done.
Yeah.
Right.
And
That's
there,
it,
the same vendor here did give the school
See.
a price a few years ago to repair that.
Okay. Roll call.
Wait,
We
we don't
We
have an
picked the
option.
Oh, I'm sorry, you said C though.
See,
Now roll call.
Mr. Rocco,
No.
Mr. Vazel,
Yes.
Mr. Westrick,
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover,
Yes, with the stipulation that we are going to get the bleachers removed and then at some point go forward to
If
finish
needs-
it off?
If it needs work, I guess you
Because
said
our
it's-
people can't use the jacks, is that what you're saying?
no,
It's not that
no,
hard, it's not that hard.
Okay.
Anyone
They can use the
can
jacks.
do
Yes.
this.
yeah, they can use jacks, but
Okay.
they can't, if the floor needs refinished. They,
Okay, yeah, I'm
So
not
we
worried
would
about
have
that,
to have
since that's
to
the
be
bleachers.
afterwards.
Yeah. Thank
Doc-
you.
Dr. Crook,
No.
Mrs. Crook,
Yes.
Mrs. Lee.
yes. And I
Motion
think,
carries.
can I say one thing too? If they have any kind of assemblies in that back gym, they need to use those bleachers through there. So you can't take the bleachers out, and that is how this all came about. Because they were bolted down through the floor. There's a gap that occurs between the bleachers and the floor because it's not floating. Once they put they're actually like washers underneath, so that the floor will move separately from the bleachers.
Taking off on the gap.
Yeah, so it's a little gap, and it got bigger, but once they put the bleachers so that everything floats, they're hoping that it'll be okay.
Okay, item A, change order PCO 53, I'll make the motion.
Second.
Second by Mike Basil. This is about changing scoreboards out in the gym. My question is it built to contract already?
Yes, we have installed per the contract, the new gym has brand new scoreboards in it.
Any other questions?
Just, is this, because the scoreboards are better at the high school?
Well, yeah,
Yes.
if I may, the consensus with the coaches and the administration was that the scoreboard, I know I'm not supporting it or not supporting
Right,
it.
of course, just the information.
The information was the scoreboards that were purchased for the existing high school were much nicer than the ones that ended up being put into this, under this contract. So it was believed that if you could put those new boards that were obtained within the last couple of years from the high school into the gym and move the ones that were bought under the contract into the back gym, you'd have the best of both worlds. When that was discussed, I don't think any of us anticipated, I even agreed with that. I think we were thinking it would be a couple $1,000s to do that sort of work. We didn't expect that it would be $20,000. As much as I would like to see it done, even I can't recommend
Plug and play.
you drop that kind of scratch on doing that. I mean, you have serviceable scoreboards in the new gym. At some point down the road, we may wanna look at, could we remove those scoreboards at the old high school and bring them down and put them in the back gym as our project of our own, but
Well, could we just talk to a contractor that installed the scoreboards versus going through the general?
This is the contractor that installed it.
Yeah, it's,
And the problem is.
Oh, this isn't the GC for the,
no,
No, this,
sorry, shouldn't have.
oh, submitted by the general contractor. I saw submitted by general contract. I assumed this was.
no, this
Part
is,
of it.
this is CM Light Law, who does nothing but gym equipment. And the problem is, if we or they touch those scoreboards, the new gym per contract, it voids the warranty if you move them. So they kinda have you with the warranty as well.
But we had so many conversations about not even buying scoreboards because we were gonna bring the scoreboards down from the high school because they're brand new. And they have far more
They're
functions
like
than
3
these
years
ones.
old and all
This is
that.
an easy decision.
Correct.
What did the contract state?
The contract stated that what we have installed is what we have, per spec. I understand per Hank's conversations that when he designed this building, those scoreboards were bought after or while the design was happening here. Like he didn't know that those boards were up there,
But they're in the written contract.
yes.
Okay.
Roll call.
Mr. Basil?
No.
Mr. Westrick?
No.
Mrs. Hoover?
No.
Dr. Krug?
No.
Mrs. Krug?
No.
Mrs. Leib?
No,
Mr. Rocco?
No.
Motion fails.
Okay, the nutrition group renewal contract budget. You can read it in front of you. It's showing a loss of $27,920.06. As you know, we supply some of the cost of that, so it's a little bit higher than that, but, I'll make the motion for that.
Second.
You do that, Tom?
Yeah.
I just yelled it out.
Okay, Mr. Tom Rocco. Any questions or comments on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Motion carries.
Okay, the summer seamless food program. Any information on that? Just, I think we do this every year, don't we?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll put that on for the regular meeting, okay? Business and finance.
Hold on, what's up with the after schools program? Meal program?
I thought we were turned down for that one, we were only,
Yes, that's.
yeah, we were denied that.
But
I don't know why, but we were.
You'll just need to reapply.
Is that,
You'll just need to reapply for the program.
okay, but did we miss out on all of next year?
No. Donna just needs to start working on that now.
Okay, like when does, so we still have a chance
Yes.
to do that for fall?
Yes.
What's the deadline for next year? Michelle, do you know, to get that in
By the end of June,
by the end of this June?
yes. So she
Okay,
can start working on that so they can get their trainings in and whatnot.
Were they already trained?
Yes,
and that's the summer dinner program?
it will be
Or
the,
not, it's not summer, just
The
dinner
after
after
school.
school.
yes.
Did we pay for that training?
No, it was just during the normal workday.
Okay.
Needs done by end of June. Okay,
Thank you.
You're welcome, I'll work with Donna to get that.
thank you, Michelle. Okay, business and finance, Ignite substitute teacher agreement. You have that in the attachment.
Yep, and we do that every year. I don't know if the rates changed, but they seem about standard. It's $147 for a teacher, $200 for a nurse. That's about what everybody's paying.
Okay, we'll put that on too then. Okay, item B, Admiral Perry AVTS operating budget. You can read that in front of you there. I will make that motion. So much, Ms. Daniel Hoover. Any questions or comments?
I would just interject about, their finance director up there, you know, they're going with an interim. And I don't know that Jen got any additional updates, but they stated that they were gonna go with the proposed budget, but once things got moved along and possibly the finance director comes back or whatever, they may adjust that budget.
It'll be minimal per student though, I would imagine for
No,
our end.
yes, but I just, you know, I believe that it's not cut in stone at this point.
Okay.
Question,
Go ahead, Mo.
I see we have 72 students supposedly go to VOTEC. Do they all go all day long, or half in the morning, half in the afternoon?
It's a half-day program, right, Lisa? I mean, it's,
Yes, it's a half-day program. We have about 20 sophomores go in the morning, and then we
Yeah.
have juniors and seniors go in the afternoon.
Okay.
it's a comprehensive school.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed to that?
Motion carries.
Okay. And then the proposed general fund budget for us for 25-26. We talked about that for an hour before this meeting. And we'll put, if you have any questions now, if not, we'll put it on for a vote. And I think it has to be filed by the end of May, the preliminary.
Has to be approved,
Yeah, okay. All right, community relations, nothing at this time. And curriculum instruction, you can read in front of it for the extended school year. Alan, if you have something you need to add on this, or?
No, I wish I'd have had more time to look at this with Bob, but I think at this point, the IEPs are already written, so there really isn't much we can do to change it without changing all those IEPs, so it's kind of is what it is, but moving forward, that's something we'll have to discuss. That's a lot of teachers.
Okay, I have a question, a concern, because it seems that we have doubled the teachers from last year.
I would,
So is there something maybe we should look further at?
yeah, I mean,
I'm not sure, like, even as curriculum, I'd like an explanation as to
Well,
why.
Let's put, this is just for discussion,
I
like,
know
we
that.
can put it on, if we can get some more info for that.
I'll get some more information from Bob. It's,
Okay.
again,
And
the
why
problem,
the increase in
yeah,
staff?
I'll get some more background on it.
We'll probably have to have this done this month, I would imagine, or the CoW.
Yeah, we will, and again, the IEPs are written, so it'd be a little tough to change a whole lot about it, but we could certainly change some things, I'll get more information.
Okay, good enough. Dual enrollment programs, I'm gonna let you have that one.
Oh, the dual enrollment programs, you see there, that's a continuation of the programs we have in place with St. Francis and Mount Aloysius. They're very successful programs. We have in the attachment, I think it lists how many kids we have in the college and high school program, but they're holding the rates pretty consistent for us, so that would just be something I would strongly encourage the board to support. We have really smart kids at the high school, and they're getting ready to take advantage of these college classes, and we should support that.
Okay. We'll put that on. All right, now Delphoi Education Solutions, I think we do this every year.
Yes, we do.
We'll put that on also. Legislation, Policy Development, Settlement Agreement. Be it resolved, the Board of Education approves settlement and enters into a settlement agreement and release with student A upon the solicitor's approval.
We need to table this.
Oh, okay.
We'll just put this
We'll,
in the meeting.
okay, we'll come back out of executive session and do this one.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, personnel then, Ignite Education Solution Substitutes, you can see the list there, I'll make the motion for them.
Second.
Second by Mr. Tom Rocco. Any questions or comments on those folks? All in favor? Anybody opposed?
Motion carries.
All right, retirement, be it resolved, the Board of Education accepts with regret the retirement notification from Mr. Rick Bernard. He's been here for 32 years, so I'll make that motion for Rick.
Second.
Second by Mr. Bob Westrick. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Motion carries.
Okay, item C, retirement. This is for Diane McMullen. She's been a nurse here for 27 years. I'll make the motion for her.
Second.
So Mr. Tom Rocco. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Motion carries.
Okay, item D, this is for the retirement with regret for Mr. Frederick Montanaro, the BCI teacher and band director. And he's been here for 31 years. I'll make that motion for him. Second, Mr. Carol Lee. Any questions or comments for Fred? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Anybody opposed?
Sorry.
Okay, that's good. And item E, retirement, this is for, regret for Mr. Jared McGoy, a 5-hour housekeeper, and he's been here for 6 years. And he'll do that on May 30th. I'll make the motion for Jared. So Mr. Mike Basil? Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Item F, retirement is with regret for Mrs. Kathleen Winings, 8-hour custodian for, at the end of the year, July, and she's been here for 32 years. Makes a motion for Kathy.
Second.
So Mr. Tom Rocco. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, marching band director, you can read that. I guess we're gonna post and advertise to replace Mr. Montanaro. No? Mr.
You need a motion?
Yeah, motion by Mr. Norman Crowe.
Can't remember your name.
It's okay. I'm new here.
Who seconds that? Any questions or comments on posting? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Motion carries.
Okay, item H is a substitute school aide. Approves the addition of Samantha, I'm not gonna try to do that, to the substitute school aide list. I'll make the motion for her though.
Second.
Second, I'll give Mike beat you, so we'll do Mike's a second. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Motion carries.
Okay, item I, licensed professional counselor. Discuss continuing the contract for the professional counselor, Mrs. Susan Lockhart, at a cost of $50 per hour, 4 days a week, or 6 hours a day. Put that on the agenda for the vote?
Motion.
No, you don't need that,
Oh,
but,
you won't.
okay, we're gonna put that in.
Oh, we're not voting.
Okay, staff development, Jen has nothing at this time. Student activities, Mr. Basil has band uniform disposal. I think Fred tried to give them away and no one took them, so.
Yeah, we tried everything.
Give them alumni wouldn't even take them, band alumni.
They might
No,
actually.
That's, you know,
Rainbow or something?
that's all we got left, we're just hanging on some racks out in the parking lot, until somebody,
We'll just put that on the agenda, we'll hide them in the stuff we're gonna sell.
like, most of the alumni have outgrown them, probably.
Alright, the TSA National Conference 2025, be it resolved, the Board of Education discussed and approved the attendance of 3 high school and 6 middle school students with 2 advisors to the TSA National Conference in Nashville, Tennessee on June 27th through July 1st, 2025. The cost of the district will be $5,703.36, and I'll make the motion for that.
Second.
Second by Mr. Bob Westrick. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Motion carries.
Nothing in transportation, and in athletics, we have the Chestermont Golf Course Agreement, and you have that sent to you. Further details are in attachment 14.
Did our solicitor get a chance to review
I
that?
did ask Toby to look over that.
Was that okay? Was that up to, I know it was brief.
Yeah,
It was,
it concerned me a little bit, but I asked you.
It was, nothing that's going to harm the district, let's put it that way. That's what I'll
Okay,
say about it.
and it's
So,
probably a duplicate of last year's?
I think it is, yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
I'm okay with you guys entering into it.
Okay, good enough, we'll put it on the agenda, okay? All right, guys, we're gonna have to go into executive session for an item for personnel and probably for contract negotiations. We will come out and vote on that one item, okay? Let me see, if you guys wanna know what that is, it's going to be,
Legislation and policy is under.
Settlement agreement?
What page was that, Karen?
settlement,
Settlement.
yeah, item A, 25-5-10, that's what we'll come back with, okay? So, I'll make the motion for executive session,
Second.
second by Mr. Mike Basil, questions or comments? And we're doing that at 7:30 PM. All in favor? Anybody opposed? Go to executive session. I was on a roll there, so.